beat Steven in points.
Zerb.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to episode 9 of the Holler Podcast, season 2. My name is Stephen Borbell, driver of the number 2 Ford Mustang for Next Level Motorsports. I'm joined by Carl and Richard. How are y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Steven. This is Carl Pooler, the driver of the number 71 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Limitless Esports. And Richard, I know we were talking earlier, but you seem to be in a good mood too.
I'm in a good mood tonight, Carl. Thanks for that. Having some great Coca-Cola to be drinking tonight. But hey, y'all, driver of the '56 Stints built Chevy, Richard Wolfspear for Limitless Esports. But no, it's been an interesting week. I guess work's been kind of busy, but no, doing good tonight. Cheers, by the way, Steven. I saw you do that, sir.
Well, good deal. Glad to have y'all on. And we got Rev in the chat, our beloved race control. Shout out to Rev. Thank you for always joining on. And we love having you in the chat. You're one of the most active people in the chat and bring up a lot of good points. But yeah, so here we are, episode 9.
Also, Rev's. I've got to give Rev a shout out, man. I cannot wait to show my button box that this guy's put together for me for everybody in the league, man. He's put a lot of love. No, I don't. He was going to bring it up this weekend, but I think being that he's still got some testing to do on it and he's put a lot of work in the past couple of days on not just mine but others, I think it's going to be next weekend. So again, I'm in no rush for it. I'm excited to get it still, but I can't wait to show everybody. He's done a great job with it, and man, if you guys need a button box, go to Rev Sim Shop.
I believe it.
And there's Richard with the master of the sales pitch. We got to keep that in mind.
Did you know that a human head weighs 9 pounds? Well, Richard's might weigh a little more.
It's possible.
So you did factor that in. There's definitely some oddities there.
Love it. Say about 13 pounds.
But yeah, week 9 already. We just had the 8th race of the season this past week at Iowa for the SealMaster 200. The season's flying by. I was looking back and I was trying to put together some stats for a dashboard today, and I don't know, where did the past 4 or 5 weeks go? Like, I really just felt like we just finished Texas, and we were going on to whatever that was, New Hampshire, I think, after Texas, where you ended up winning, Richard. Yeah. But I don't know. I really don't know where the past 5 weeks have gone. They've kind of blended together for me, and Iowa is just another one of those tracks that just blends together, and it was anything but a blend together kind of race, though. I don't know, Richard, were you there for the practice race? Oh yeah, you ended up winning the practice race.
I did end up winning the practice race. It was a nightmare. It definitely was going. The thing about the practice races for us is it kind of tells us how we think the race on Tuesday is going to end up. Luckily, that is not the case. I do not think that the Tuesday's race was as bad as the practice race. Practice race was bad. But on a positive note about that, everybody was having a good time. So, like, granted, the practice race, it really didn't help anybody learn anything. I know Adam was a little irritated with it because he wasn't going to learn anything in the long run, and that's what he was trying to do. And I get that. I mean, that's what I want to do as well. But, I mean, sometimes, especially after the... lack of a better way to say it, shit show of a practice race last week was. It was fun to get in there and have a race with everybody in the league that showed up for the practice race and just have a good time. I mean, everybody's sitting there laughing, joking around, like just being dumb, basically. Like, it was still a really good time. So it definitely was a tale of two races, though, because Tuesday ended up being actually a pretty doggone good race. It wasn't a nightmare like a couple of other races we've had, but it wasn't perfectly clean either. So
no, it wasn't clean at all. And Rev, I have a beautiful view of corn out my front window that I get to see every day, and I've seen it grow 4 or 5 feet, and I'm so proud of it, like it's my own corn, even though it's not. But
it's got the juice.
It's got the juice. I can't wait for them to cut it down and give me a couple. But
you know what's great about corn? It makes whiskey.
Right, you're drinking Coca-Cola.
I mean, I am drinking Coca-Cola, but I'm just saying.
Oh, just a random Rev fact of the day. But no, the practice race was, for lack of better words, it was just everyone was in shambles. I mean, it was a great time, and I'm really glad that we can get together. And it was a big group of guys. I think we had 14 guys that started in the practice race.
Yeah, 14 drivers started.
Yeah, like that was, I think, our biggest practice race of the year, maybe besides Daytona. I really don't even remember, but potentially. But I don't know. It was just a good time. I think we had gotten to the point in the practice race where there were so many wrecks, so many self spins. There was just like, let's have some fun with it a little bit. And I know some people kind of called it quits early because you weren't learning anything. But I don't know. I wasn't really concerned about long runs until we got into a couple semi long runs and obviously paid the price for it. But with that said, Monday was very, very loose, very slick. Tuesday was slightly different. It was slightly more grip. Can hold it in the corners a little bit better. I'm trying to find what I did with this.
Hey, we have the broadcast stuff. We haven't done that in a minute.
Yeah, I had some free time today, So
Awesome. Good to see.
Yeah, when you're not working, it kind of frees up my day. But I guess.
All right, so here's the plan. Steven, I know you guys just moved to Tennessee, but you need to tell Addison I'm sorry. And Carl, you two, I know you're just having a kid. But y'all just need to move out to Georgia, and we'll just get like a little small office and just have a podcast in that. We'll just do that. I'm sure we'll totally pay for it also.
Rocky Mountain. Let's get in the Rocky Mountains. There's plenty of open space. There's so much to do. I'm sorry. I'm stuck here. I love
like
it here.
being on normal time that the rest of the United States goes off of.
Normal time. What is time? It's an illusion.
And I don't want to be jumping the gun here, but I did get an interview for Tuesday with Bristol Motor Speedway. So I don't think I'll be moving.
You've been going hard for that job, so that's good to hear.
I've been reaching out to them every day, following up on stuff. So
that's amazing. That's gonna be awesome.
Excited for you on that, man. That'll be fun to hear.
Thank you. Who knows? If I end up getting that job, I won't be going to the race. I'll be working the race. Kind of deal. So
you get paid to look and watch at the race and be there. Oh shucks.
Yeah, it sounds like a tough life.
That sounds so terrible.
Who knows? We'll see. So I can't leave here. I love it too much. But I still can't pull it up. What I was really going to pull up was our winter graphic. So our winter graphic, Mason Houseman won his third race of the season. Big congratulations and shout out to Mason Houseman. He was running up front. He was fast the whole time. And then Adam Buzzio made a good, risky but good tire call at the time to take 2 tires and hop in the lead. Track position was a big thing all night. And he was able to hold off Mason for a majority of the last 50 laps until overtime came and basically ended it, from my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give Mason a huge shout out also. Like, during practice, before qualification, Mason was in the Discord, but he wasn't talking to us. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Mason's steering wheel mounts broke, so he could not mount his steering wheel to his desk. His dad came down and helped him zip tie his steering wheel to the desk. And halfway through the race, one zip tie broke. And in the last 10, 15 laps, the other zip tie broke. And I was next to him when that happened. That was not fun. But Mason won that race with one hand, basically, because one hand was sitting on the mount of the steering wheel, holding it against the desk, and he was steering with the other one. So massive shout out for him to being able to do that.
That is wild and ridiculous.
Yeah, so for him to be able to win like that, that's impressive.
That is really impressive. I mean, yeah, big shout out to him. I mean, third win this season as well. Like that's a huge deal. 8 races in, he's won almost half the races. Doesn't feel like he's necessarily dominated, and that's not a shot at him. It does feel like there's a good amount of parity, but he's there at the end, and he's capitalizing when he can. And on the other end of that spectrum, Adam is there at the end. He's just not getting the result to fall his way. I know he's been upset the last couple of weeks about the results, and I mean, there's not much better you can do about it. Is if you stay up front and you keep finishing up front, eventually those wins will fall to you. Like last year, like I felt like that was the best example. Like I'm not someone that goes out and wins races. I usually run consistent, but I finished second or third a couple times, and just being up there, some wins fell into your lap kind of thing. So that's going to happen. None of us are experts. We all make big mistakes multiple times a race. And Adam's just got to keep finishing up there, and he'll eventually get that win.
And I gotta say, Adam did not make a mistake at all for that race. That was. I've got to apologize to him again, and I've done it over and over again. I've got no excuse whatsoever. My 2 wrecks that I caused, both involved. Speaking of,
hey, look at that!
it involved him. The first one was, he even said, was kind of like whatever. Like I started getting loose, and I had a lot of practice of saving the car in loose, like that. But it just, that one time, of course, it caught and snapped to the high side and just so happened to get in front of Adam. So he kind of had to use his fast repair there, I believe.
He lost his bumper, I think.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was boom.
It snapped right up into his path. And then the second time, I honestly don't even know what happened. I was too embarrassed to go back and look, and I should have. But like, I was going low into turn 1 and 2, and the car just wiggled, and I just barely touched his quarter panel, and it spun him. And I felt really bad. Adam definitely could have. I mean, he could have easily won that if he had 4 tires, I think. And I think just because of strategy calls based of him having to come back from the 2 wrecks that I kind of caused on him, he had to make that 2-tire decision to get track position. Because like we said, it was hard to pass. Like, I was not a very easy track to pass on.
No, and even there was a point where I was in the back of the pack near the end of the race, and I had 30 lap fresher tires than people in front of me, and I could not pass them. I just tried to be completely off strategy since I was back there anyways, but no, tires did not seem to really matter that much until they got to a point. There was a run I had, I think it was in the 2nd stage or beginning of the 3rd stage. I think it was the beginning of the 3rd stage, because that's when everything started to fall apart for me. I was following behind Adam, and I made one little slip up and made the rear tires too hot, and from that point on, it was not savable. Like, the car could not drive in the corners anymore, and it was just a straight downhill kind of thing. It's kind of like reminded me of Bristol from NASCAR earlier this year. Like, there's a point where the tires just completely fall off. They don't slowly fall off.
I feel like it was a very challenging track because turn 1 was a huge issue. I mean, those bumps, and you had to hit it right if you wanted to avoid those bumps. There was bumps on the inside and there was bumps on the outside. If you entered in the middle, you could kind of maybe alleviate some of that roughness there. But I think for the most part, that was the biggest issue for a lot of drivers, was how bumpy it was going into 1 or coming out of 2, because I know I had an issue where I got upset going into 1, the car got upset going into 1, and just when you think it grabbed and it gripped, you got on the throttle, tried to go, and it went around on you. And that was a lot of drivers. In fact, I had just terrible luck. I spun myself once, got loose a couple times, and then I kept getting behind cars that got loose. Evan Patinko, Dustin Stallings, yourself, Steven.
Yeah.
I was behind you, and it was such a hard balance of track position because everyone wanted the outside line. The outside line seemed to have a better run through the corner on the restart. But with everyone going to the outside line, personally, I was hoping to get somebody to that track position. So I was almost starting on the inside almost every time. And I just would not learn from my mistakes. I just kept getting behind those guys. So I was in the top 5 a decent amount of the race, but something would happen and I'd get shuffled back. And it was a long night for me, but it was fun though, because again, one of those tracks to where it was different. We don't typically run there. The Cup Series just finally started to get running there, as we saw a couple of weeks ago for the NASCAR Cup Series. So I hope to see it more, and I really am excited for a repave of this track. I know everyone says Richmond is like the short track super speedway of the schedule. If this place gets repaved and gets a little smoothed out, this will beat Richmond.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I think that would be a good time. I mean, I'm not a fan of Richmond, but honestly, Iowa was different enough from Richmond, where it was fun and challenging, and I think a repave would really be beneficial, at least on iRacing. I don't know about in real life for a watching product, but I mean, I had a great time racing. For how difficult it was to pass, it did leave a good racing product at the end of the day. Yes, there wasn't a bunch of just passing back and forth, but it was a lot of side-by-side battle a lot of the time, which was fun and entertaining and stressful all at the same time. But yeah, so big shout out to Mason. I have the results. Mason came home first. I'm reading this off the top of my head before I pull it up. I believe Adam came home second. Is that right?
Yes.
And then was it Jared in third?
We have Jared, then Brendan, and Dustin in the top 5.
Yep.
Jamie Plord in 6th. Johnny Wood
Great run
Jr.
by Jamie.
finishing 7th. Myself finishing 8th. Matthew Erickson in 9th, exactly where he qualified. And then Richard Wolsifer rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, great run by Jamie Plord and Brendan Maddox. Brendan was behind me at some point in the race when we were racing side by side. And he had a lot more pace than I was anticipating going in. So big shout out to those two guys. Great job keeping the wheels on it and finishing top 6. Like, that's awesome.
Now the 71 finished 9th.
No. Just because Steven messed up at Kentucky and put me a spot down.
I got it all right this week. I learned from my mistakes and learned how to double check.
I do gotta say though, Steven, those graphics you've been making with the scoring pylon and then the GIF and the rotation, those have been really, really fun to watch.
Well,
Love to see those out there.
Rev
so
had
those
a
are super fun.
Big impact on the one last week of the one that was actually a rotating GIF. He had made that in Adobe After Effects. So I'm trying to get some skills learned from him so I can make it better as well. I know it can take a while to do, and it's something that's not as fun. But
so, Steven, you qualified on pole position for this race. And you mentioned the ability to pass or lack thereof of just really the track. And what really, I mean, you even got 18 stage points, so you actually really did good in the stages.
I didn't lead a lap.
I know you did lead a lap.
I did not lead a lap.
No, you did not lead a lap. So yeah, you didn't get that lap led. But Jared Hughes, of all people, finishing 3rd, led the most laps of 69. So this was really kind of a melting pot of who's who and when you were hot and when you were not. And so it's, again, just is one of those races, one of those tracks where you almost had to be in the right spot at the right time, even with a broken steering wheel. Mason, It is amazing that he was able to carry that through, and I do agree with you there, though. Adam, he keeps getting up there. He's obviously up there in the standings for the most part. He's doing really well. He is itching for that win. Every time I see him up there, or honestly, and I think we're riding on board with him right now, I'm seeing him in my mirror. I'm like, I know Adam's hungry for a win. I know he wants to make the pass, but I'm like, Adam, I love you. I would love, anything about your win, but you're gonna have to pass me first for it. So, yeah, one of those. And there's Jamie Plord, and I think that was Brendan Maddox.
I think so.
Together. So, yeah. So, and Jamie with an absolute fantastic run. It was, in fact, Jamie was actually on my radar almost all race because he was even more difficult to pass than normal. So Jamie was doing really well, but just a wild race that you really couldn't know who was going to win that until the end.
Man, and I am so bummed of how that race ended up, of being first in the practice session, qualifying first. I felt confident, and I was not confident going into the night, but I had found something that worked. Of when I was driving by myself, I felt faster than anything. And that continued when I was in the race. If I didn't have anyone side by side and there was a gap between me and the person in front, I can close it in 3 to 4 laps. I constantly did that to Jared when he was leading. I kept closing in on him. I just could not get around. And for whatever reason, on restarts, absolutely killed me all night. From the drop of the green flag, I lost 3 or 4 spots right away. And then on every other restart, I just could not get up and go. I don't know what the problem was, and I kind of mitigated it somewhat halfway through the race, but it still was just not good. And I couldn't figure it out. It was very disappointing to know I had speed by myself for once and to not get a result. But I just don't like short tracks anyways, unless it's Bristol. I enjoy Bristol, but that's about it.
Yeah, I had a lot of confidence going into this one as well, mainly because of the practice race on Monday night, winning that. But I think it kind of gave me a little bit of a false sense because, like I said, we didn't have long runs, and I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to actually pass on
Yeah.
Iowa. I mean, I did figure out how to drive across those bumps on the inside of turn 1 and 2. That was like a necessity to learn if you wanted to be fast at Iowa. Like you could run the middle line, but like you weren't going to catch anybody at a good pace. Like you had to be able to drive from the outside of going into turn 1, and then basically run across those bumps on the the inside of turn 1 and 2 without losing it, and then you can basically drive straight off the turn. So, overall, it was a really fun race. I got a little scared when because Mason and I were racing next to each other near the end of the race there, and all of a sudden I hear him like start freaking out because his steering wheel like broke off the final zip tie, and his car started swerving and like sliding up to me and everything like that. So, I was trying to drive hard into one of the turns to get around him because like I don't want to be around Mason if he doesn't have a steering wheel connected to the desk. Like this ain't cool. And I drove a little too hard, and of course the one turn that I actually like could drive fine every single time, I spin out on, and I was like, God dang it, man. So that's why I got all the way back to 10th. I was super bummed about that.
Yeah, and then you wrecked me coming across the start finish line for the checkers.
Oh, you hush. You no.
Carl, I hear I scared you though on that last lap. The fake send into 3.
Oh man, here I am. I'm like, oh, I have. So I think if anyone's been following the podcast in the last leagues or the last couple of seasons, and you and I kind of have this friendly rivalry. We want to finish in front of the other every race, and I knew you were having issues early in the race, and I know I got into your bumper as you were losing it out of turn 2, but I see this green number 2 car that said Animal Hospital instead of Hostile.
Oh no! It was corrected.
So anyway, I see this.
It was corrected.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I see this car coming up, and he's in turn 3, and I loved 3 and 4. If I was gaining time, it was in 3 and 4. It didn't matter what lane I was choosing. I was doing really good in 3 and 4. But I see this 2 car come right in, charge, turn 3, and I'm seeing this. I'm like, oh man, if he gets loose and on the brakes, I am toast. So I gave a ton of space. I'm like, I can't let him take me out because I need this finish for the stats for the championship. But no, it was fun. I think overall, I think everyone had a good time. I had a good time. There wasn't anything egregious. There was a lot of self-spins, and I do got to apologize for Johnny Wood. I had myself a self-spin coming out of 2, and Johnny Wood got caught up into that, so I do apologize. And I did talk to Johnny, and he was like, it's the cost of doing business, and I know that, but it still sucks. If I especially myself, if I'm going to spin myself, I hope no one gets caught up in it. But that wasn't the case that time. So, but it's good to see everyone kind of go through the race and just kind of survive as much as they could. So it was good to see.
Yeah, I was glad that my 2 self spins that were, well, besides the one where you bumped me because it wasn't a self spin yet, but my ones other than that, I didn't collect anyone. But,
yeah, that's the thing this week is I was in that spot where I was behind drivers that would lose it or get a little loose. Like I said, Dustin, I think both Adam and I were behind Dustin during that one. I was behind Evan. I locked it down, but I was trying to pass you and make a move, maybe try to go to the outside out of 2, and you lost. It's like, oh crap, it's right in front of me, and there was zero space. So
you were getting people arrow loose all night.
Yeah, exactly. And there was just nowhere to go. So unfortunately, we got collected there. But again, it was virtually harmless because I don't even think I got any damage from that.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. I mean, that didn't ruin my night by any means. My night was long gone before that. But yeah, no, I did want to give a shout out real quick to all of our sponsors of the Butt Kicker Cup Series and BRB Racing League. Obviously, we have Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Sundance Pizza, Ideal Lease, and Ascendance Trucks. We appreciate each and every one of y'all for supporting us and allowing us to do what we love each week and every Tuesday night. So thank you again, and we'll move forward with them. This week's Idiot of the Week.
Meatball. I'm just gonna start this.
No,
I'm gonna
idiot.
give myself. What?
Idiot of the week.
I mean, yeah, I'll take that too.
All right. That's fair.
It's been upgraded.
I'm giving myself the meatball for me. That first one was just like, and it's not even because both the spins were just kind of unfortunate. Car got loose. First one I just couldn't save it. It just snapped on me. Second one, I mean I saved it. It's just the car wiggled and went up the track. But the meatball part is the fact that I took out Adam both times. I can't believe it was Adam both times. I felt like complete and utter shit.
Well, there was, I think after the second one, he said, like, that's 2 times or something, and I didn't hear it. And we're, like, he's not talking in our team chat or something, and I was like, wait, what did I miss?
The injection in Adam's voice. He's like, oh, that's 2, Richard.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And that's all he said. Like, if someone's yelling at me over the comms and everything, I get it, cool. But if that's all you say with that voice, that just makes me feel worse. It's like, oh, dude.
And I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I can apologize, but it's not going to mean anything at this point. Like, it's not like I meant to do it, and I know, like, to him, it's, you know, he fucking took me out twice kind of thing, but it's like, like, the first time, like I said, the first time it was just, I got loose, and I tried to correct the car, and I overcorrected the car, snapped to the outside, which is, I hate it when the car does that. It's wild when the car just randomly catches grip. It's like, and straight to the outside wall. It's like, what the hell was that? But the second one, man, it was so just minor. It was so minor. I mean, the car just wiggled a little bit, and it just so happened to be at this time that Adam was on the outside of me, and I just barely tapped his quarter panel. And then I think it caused a couple other people behind me to... I know Evan Patinko spun. I saw that in the replay there, and I don't know what else happened behind me, but... I mean, it gave me a drive-through, so it kind of put me behind the 8-ball pretty bad. But, no, I did. When I realized it was Adam both times, man, I felt like just complete and utter dog shit. Like, I didn't know what to say to him or anything. I was like, I straight up told him after the race, like, I finally got some words together to, you know, tell him, you know, apologize. And I was like, dude, I've got no excuse. Nothing I can say is going to help this at all. I just want you to know it was not intentional at all, and I am sorry. So, yeah, I'll take the meatball on my end. That was just, it was terrible.
I mean, at least at the end of the day, you can own up to it. And, like some people are starting to do. But I could just go ahead and say myself, but that's too boring.
Stab at something?
No stabs here.
Not today. Not today.
No, not
this week.
I have no one to be mad at this week other than myself. And at the end of the day, like, I could give it to myself, and because there were times I felt like I had messed up Adam's race with either 1 or 2 of my self spins whenever I just couldn't control the car, kind of deal. Obviously, I apologize to him for that, and he said it didn't affect it, but at the end of the day, like, I know it could have, but we don't know for sure, kind of thing. But I'm not going to pick myself because that's boring, so I'm going to pick Richard for wrecking my teammate twice.
Oh, that's a good choice. So I am going to be boring, and it's just because I had really bad decision-making skills Tuesday night. I'm going to choose myself because I kept choosing that inside line. I kept choosing to put myself in a bad situation, and it kept causing, it really costing me positions. So I will choose myself, and hopefully... going in the future, I will sacrifice maybe a row or 2 just so I have a better restart. But I guess it's all very situational. But we're gonna see.
It is very situational. I mean, sometimes you got into situations where you were not in full control of this, so it happens like that.
I do want to give a shout out though to Rev because Richard, you mentioned you got a drive through. Steven, did you get a drive through as well?
I've gotten a drive through.
For causing incidents and making
the
contact.
only incident
you might have
I
lucky.
caused was the one with you.
Well, I do gotta give a shout out to Rev, and he even popped into our Discord, Richard, when he gave you that drive. He's like, "Dude, I am sorry, but rules are rules, and that's what it is." And that's that's what I love. We're all friends, and I think I really do believe that it tore Richard apart to give you that drive through. But man, that just goes to prove how hard that race control position is. Is we're all good friends. We're all kind of part of the admin team. It's like, oh, I have to give my buddy a drive through, and kind of almost ruin his race. Sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like
So,
working in
I'm
compliance and risk and everything, and being the bad guy, and everyone hates you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna throw it back to Richmond also because Richmond was not a good show for me. I think I'm one of the very few that Rev can count on one hand that would have to be disqualified from the race because I caused 3 cautions.
Mm-hmm.
Rev talked to me afterwards. I don't know if it was a few days or messaged me or something. I can't remember, but he told me, he was like, "I'm so glad that you just straight up left the server in the race and then left Discord," because he's like, "I don't know how I would have been able to hand you a disqualification like nicely." And I'm like, "I knew it was 3, dude. That's why I gave up." Like, it was just, yep, that's 3. I'm done. Like, bye. I was so mad at myself. So, but I saved Rev the heartache of having to disqualify one of his drivers.
Yeah, Rev says it sucks to give them out, period. I mean, yeah, Rev at the end of the day does not play favorites. So I know that it's very difficult to even give a EOL to somebody because that can create some drama on its own to certain people. But
Well, I mean, how many of us got EOLs? I know I got an EOL. I know you got an EOL. Adam got an EOL.
Richard.
So
I got a drive-through, okay?
Well, and an EOL.
So honestly, I think it was a kind of it was just a really rough race where, again, we kind of. It's been a couple weeks since we talked about it, but we're all trying to race each other and race hard and get those positions, and that's going to lead to more and more mistakes. And with us racing around each other on a regular basis, with the point so tight as it is, it gets open to those mistakes, and Rev's on top of it. He puts us in check. So again, props to Rev, and I do not envy him in that RC position.
No, the thankless job that he does.
Exactly.
From the drivers in the moment.
In the moment, but I'm thanking him now. Oh my God, there's Evan and Adam. Oh, Adam just did not have a good race.
No, he had a.
I mean, in the end though, he finished well for what all had happened. He finished really well. So
I got to give him credit for he didn't blow up. There was a time after the second incident with Richard, he went quiet for about 20 laps.
That's scary.
But he didn't blow up. He didn't freak out. He didn't yell and scream obscenities. He just was quiet for a little bit. He regathered himself, and then he was back to his normal self at lap 40 or 50 and got back to work. And he made his way back up and got his job done. So big shout out there. Next week, we are Indy.
Yeah.
For the Rev Sim Shop 250 on August 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern, sorry. Y'all have raced Indy recently in a different league. What kind of insight can y'all give to our drivers going in that have no experience?
It's tight and loose at the same time.
Can you elaborate on that?
It's really tight getting into the turn, but it gets really loose really quick when that car wants to grab.
And it's not impossible to pass, but there is a single lane. And if I experienced it on the outside, if you try to hold it in there, you have to hit your marks even better than if you are on the inside, because it is really, really tough to hit your apex, to go through and accelerate off the corner on that outside line. Tires are going to mean a ton. I think in our league race, Richard, I was on 15, 20 lap older tires just to see what it would do. And there was a caution cycle on those, I think. And I still just lost a ton of time. Now, in that league, I'm lucky if I'm mid-pack. I'll be straight. I am slow. But, man, they were still passing me like I was sitting still. It's going to be a very, very tough race. The draft is going to be king. You have to stay in the draft, or else you're going to lose easily a half a second. Okay. I feel. So it's going to be an experience with the minimal car count we've seen. 14 to 16 cars. If we get spread out, it really comes down to that single car speed. If we stay in a train, it's going to be who makes a mistake first, who misses their apex, or who goes too far into the apex, hits those curbs. You hit those curbs, you get really loose, and you're really hating those walls at the end of the day. So Indianapolis is going to be another big test.
And I will say those curbs, they can actually help you a lot also. It just depends on how you hit them. So they can be your friend, but they can easily turn to your enemy in a split second. But I mean, Indy has the chance to be exactly how it was at the Brickyard 400 this year, where it's a train until the end. It has that potential. It can easily be that way. In our league, I don't see that happening because everyone in our league loves to pass. I mean, who doesn't?
Exactly.
It is a sense of like, I'm accomplishing something. I don't care if I pass one car. It's an accomplishment nonetheless. But I mean, we also have short runs. We have the 2 stages, like Carl was talking about in our other league. They have 1 stage and it's very early. And then it's a long run at the end. It's usually like a 2 pit stop run kind of thing.
That's pretty interesting.
So it really just depends on the track. Like our race last night, it was
Chicagoland?
Yeah, Chicagoland. It was, 35 laps for stage 1. And then when you got to that second part of the race, it was 1 pit stop and you can make the rest of the race. So it was just depends on the track and depends, how long it is. But like I said, it's got the potential to play out exactly like the Brickyard 400 did. Just everyone kind of sit in line. But this league has been amazing from the start of season 2 on. So season 1 was kind of all over the place, but season 2, everyone's starting to get a hang of how everyone drives. Everyone's skill has definitely kind of leveled out really well. This is a very competitive field of cars. Even throughout the entire field, you're gonna have your typical top 10, but even that back pack that's normally together, they're still out there fighting for position. So it's not like it's spread out and you're it's what drivers are going to finish where every single week, because it's been different every single week. I mean, Carl's still rocking the forever 4th situation, but
Forever 9.
right. But no, I think Indianapolis is actually going to be a lot more entertaining than I think we're giving credit for. Because, like I said, every single person in this league is going to want to pass, and I think there's a few of us that are more conservative, and I think Adam's going to be one of those that's going to be more conservative, that isn't going to pass unless this is necessary. But then you have people like Brendan Maddox, who is very aggressive, and he's always wanting to pass. And it's going to present a lot of action, I think. And I think this is going to be a very entertaining race to watch for it being Indianapolis.
Well, and to build on that, looking at the standings, Steven, you and I are 2 points apart. You took 4th from me. I know we were tied going into Iowa. We are 2 points apart. But from, let's say, yourself, Steven, all the way down to Richard, so from 4th to 8th, there's like 20 points. You can get that in a couple of stages, let alone your race finish.
Yeah.
You have Jared Hughes. Jared Hughes, big shout out to Jared. He kept his nose clean for the most part, gained 2 spots in the standings, and so that he's only 10 points behind myself. So even with 3 drivers, you, Steven, myself, and Jared, there's only 12 points separating the 3 of us. So this is going to be really, really tight. And then we go down to the cut line. We have Jamie Plord at 208, I believe, 209, 209, and then Evan 203. He's there. 189 at Richard Smith the second. Matthew Erickson, he's actually been showing up and doing really well these past couple of weeks. He's at 181. There is no off weeks now. Everyone has to give their all. And I know there's a couple drivers out there that see Indianapolis as a wild card. The way the track races, strategy, I believe, could be a huge factor in how people race the track. So 5 races until the chase. It is not over until it's over, and we still have a long way to go. I say a long way to go, but like you said, Steven, I kind of agree. These last 4 or 5 races have also passed in a blur.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's going to go on. We still have Eldora to do. We still have Chicagoland. It's going to be a really wild finish to the end of the regular season.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Oh, and Carl, I'm going to be just like your new sponsor, Lego. I'm going to build off that as well. But like we were talking about the point system a few days ago, and how if there's something that we can possibly change with the stage points of maybe we can average it out or something like that. And in my opinion, honestly, I don't think we should change it, because our point standings has been all over the place with how people finish in the stages. People have been up, people have been down, people are moving constantly. It's making the points race really fun to watch. with how many points are on the line for stages. I mean, it's making everybody race in the stage to get those stage points so they can jump up 2, 3, 4 positions in one race. So, I mean, it's really, really fun to watch.
As crazy as it sounds, I almost feel like the end of the stages are more intense than the end of the race. I mean, it may be crazy to say, but that's kind of how it feels, especially when you're 4th, 5th, 6th running in those positions. It almost feels like you're running for a win at those stage breaks, and it's the intensity and how hard you drive the other driver, and who you also have to keep in mind who you're racing around. It's I'm Steven, you and I are constantly around each other. I'm constantly around Jared, Brendan Maddox. I'm constantly around him. Richard Wilsifer, Richard, I feel like you're either really ahead of me or really behind me. It's really interesting to see, because I know the practice race you had the speed. Hell, even in the first stage I feel like you were doing really well up there, and then in the second stage you kind of fell back, or no, maybe that was the back, maybe I had that backwards.
No,
but
the first
yeah.
stage I was running up there, but then I had my 2 cars.
Okay, you're right. So yeah, but that's kind of the balance that you mentioned, Richard, that it seems to maybe we should give it another season with this point style and see how it turns out. We have, when the season ends, we have recruitment, and the third season can begin, and see if we can get 20, 25 drivers on a regular basis, and see how much different that is compared to what we're running now. So I think now
that's the big takeaway from that, the big game changer. I'll let you finish. Sorry.
Actually, I was just about done, Steven, but yeah, hitting on the driver count on a weekly basis. If we can get 20 drivers on a regular basis, then this whole picture will change.
Yeah.
Especially with stages and everything else. So, I mean, look at all these winner stickers. Richard, you have a winner sticker, but you're in 8th. Jared with a win in 6th. Steven, Johnny, and Mason, okay, they're up there. But Adam, without a win, and I know that is definitely grinding his gears, but he's sitting in 2nd in the standings. So I think with
and
more
only 28
drivers,
points behind.
Only 28 points behind. Yeah, so exactly. With more drivers, could that change? Definitely. But right now, I think we have a good formula, and we just need a couple more drivers to make it even that much more interesting.
And I really do like our format, how we have it. I do think it still could be tweaked. I never want to just keep something the way it is just because that's always how we've done it, kind of thing. But you brought up the point that, I don't know, I had 17 stage points this race?
18, I believe.
18. So take those 18 points away from me. I'm all the way in 8th. Or 7th, whatever it is. Like... To me, that's putting a little too much emphasis on stage points currently because of our car counts. It's not because of the format, it's because of the car counts. I got more stage points than the amount of points difference from finishing first to finishing 14th or 15th, however many cars we had. To me, that's a big problem. You should not be able to get more stage points than the difference between first and last points payout. And it's creating parity in the way of, if you can run consistent, you can be up there in the points, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. But I think it might be skewed a little too much to that right now because of our current car count being around 15, 16, 17 drivers. I would love to see if we can eventually get to that number of 20, 25, maybe even close to 30. Then I think the current format would really be good. Until then, I'm on the table of wanting to at least look at tweaking. Obviously not this season. That would be in the off season and potentially into next season. The way it is this season is just going to pan out how it is, and you just got to find a way for it to benefit you in the best way possible and take advantage of it. But yeah, that's all I had on that. But yeah, I guess more so to echo that, with the stage points being as important they are, and there's 3 or 4 guys battling for that last spot. Let me pull the standings back up again. You've got 4 guys outside the top 10 that are within 29 points of that 10th. You can get 15, 20 stage points a race. Not I mean, it's difficult, but it's not out of the question to get 15 or more. You can eat half of that gap away just like that. Lead a lap, win a race. You eat more of that gap just like that. That's going to be a wicked battle for that 10th and final spot.
Why would you bring that name back up?
It's just absolutely a wicked battle coming up. But no,
but like even so, like those guys that are outside 10th or whatnot, like all they have to do is get to that 10th place, because then points reset for the championship. Like all they have to do is get to 10th. So like Dakota Bly.
Whoa.
I think he's the lowest currently on the points that has a realistic chance to get into the top 10.
Yes.
And he's only 28 behind, like we said. Like that's between Adam and Mason Hossman. And
29.
29. What are you talking about? He's 180 and it's 208.
It's 209.
Oh, okay. Your fonts you use.
It's not the font, it's your eyes.
Yeah, it's Discord.
how small
it does
it
some
is.
weird stuff, but
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just the compression. That's all.
So Steven, that goes to raise Jamie Flord, your new teammate for the season.
Yeah.
He did really well.
He did.
But he is on that cut line. Evan Patinko, 6 points under. Richard Smith, Matthew Erickson, Dakota Bly, 9 points separate those three drivers. And those three drivers are another set of drivers that are constantly racing around each other. All that it would take for one of those drivers to start moving up is Jamie and Evan to start having a bad race. And we, again, 5 races and another wide variety of races to go. We have the dirt race at Eldora, we have Indianapolis, we have Chicagoland. It's not over until it's over, and I think all of these drivers are going to go into these next 5 races with that mentality.
No, and that's a great point. Well, first of all, if you told me at the beginning of the season that Evan would be on the outside looking in with 5 races until the playoffs, I'd say you're crazy. But Jamie has been doing tremendous when he is there this season. When he's racing, he is outperforming where I think he should finish, which is a big compliment to him. And if he can make the rest of these races, I would think it's very difficult for anyone to do it. If anyone can do it, could see Evan, I could see Richard, I could see all 4 of them doing it, but it's going to be very difficult. And like you said, the schedule that we have upcoming has, I would say, 3 big wild cards in it. You have Indy this week. We don't know what's going to happen. It can be a very big strategy race for all we know, or just chaos at the end. Next week, Eldora. It's dirt. Anything can happen on the dirt. It's basically a super speedway, but a lot more messy. And then you have, obviously, Chicagoland, but then Bristol. Last time we were at Bristol, we were all very friendly. There was 1 accident. There wasn't a whole lot of drama. This time, we're at the pay window. There's 2 races until the chase starts going into that race. People are going to be out on the outside looking in and want to get in, and they're going to do what they can to get in. And that also goes with final playoff seedings, or chase seeding, sorry. We get bonus points for where we finish in the top 10 going into the chase. So all of us, or Mason, Johnny, everyone like that, we're going to be pushing it a little extra harder to get that position, to give ourselves a little bit of cushion going into the chase to benefit us and hopefully make our chances to win a championship better. So it's going to be very interesting, those 3 races specifically. I'm not saying Chicagoland or Auto Club couldn't. Auto Club definitely could. But those 3 races are the ones I want to highlight. But
I mean, we keep hitting on it. Last season we saw it. This season we're seeing it again. Is just the diversity of tracks and how they all kind of line up. There's no. I think the biggest rhythm we had Atlanta, Kentucky. That's it. So because again, Iowa, Indy,
I have
Eldora,
not been able to get into a rhythm
Chicagoland.
at all this year. It's been
Exactly.
difficult.
Bristol, Auto Club. Okay. Auto Club in Vegas, cool, but then you have the Roval, Talladega, Martinsville, and Charlotte. There, like you said, Steven, there is no real rhythm, and I think that's you keep mentioning parity, and I think that's also that a contributing factor is no one can get into that rhythm. There's no one place where someone can go really good. Mason's done really well winning 3 races, Chicago Street Course, obviously, Texas, and then here at Iowa.
3 different tracks.
Three
completely different tracks. There's
very
intermediate, the
different
road course, and
tracks.
the short.
Exactly. So I think overall the best equipped I would say would be Mason. His equipment is broken, so we'll see if he gets that fixed before the next couple of weeks. But man, can you imagine racing Eldora on a broken wheel? I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
Rather do it on a controller.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But, yeah, so next week is Indy. It is our throwback race, the Rev Sim Shop 250. Make sure to tune in to Extreme Sim TV August 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm very excited to see some people's throwbacks. Do y'all have some throwback schemes that you have?
Oh yeah.
No,
I'm doing
Carl?
the
Richard, why aren't you doing anything for your teammate?
right now I have to make a third paint scheme for frickin' Mason because he's like, "Can I get another paint scheme?"
I like to consider myself a low maintenance teammate, and
Yeah, Carl, I just give him the paint and he don't care. He's like, "Oh, so it looks good, thanks."
I thoroughly appreciate Richard and all the hard work he puts on all the paints for the team, so I try to just let him do his thing. I'm excited to see what Mason has in mind for a new scheme, but no, I'm okay with my scheme. It's how I'm recognized. In fact, it was funny. I was attempting to run Chicago Line last night in our other league for 2 laps before I got unceremoniously wrecked. But it was funny because Sam Dyer, you see him there in the standings. He has some other stuff going on Tuesdays, but he's the announcer of our Wednesday race. And when I wrecked, he said, "Carl Puller of the 58," because he knows I love the 71 and he knows the schemes I like to run in the colors. So it's just kind of my trademark, as it were. So I like to keep it simple.
If you change your mind, let me know, since your fearless team leader doesn't want to do it for you. But I'm excited to see what people have cooked up. What is going on in the kitchen?
Do you got one, Borbell?
I do have one, but I am going to probably end up changing it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'll be running a. It's gonna be the Valvoline throwback to Dale Jr.'s. Valvoline
nice.
Throwback. So, and it's even got the black, because I did the thing for Limitless drivers. We all have the black rear panel. I really like that Dale Jr. did, like through his time with Hendrick. I thought it was really cool. It was it was actually, if you didn't know, it was a throwback to when he raced in the 24-hour at Daytona, when he raced with his dad in the Corvette and they won the race. That yellow Corvette has the black rear panel, and he carried that over to Hendricks with him when he went to Hendricks. So all of his cars on Hendricks has the black panel. It's just a solid black with, the sponsors and all the decals and stuff.
That's pretty neat. I had no idea that's where that came from.
So,
I can't look at this thing the same.
So yeah, all the Limitless guys, we all have the black panel on the back. I just thought it was a really cool thing that I did to all the schemes. But yeah, I'm doing the Dale Jr. throwback Valvoline scheme, and it's still got the stints built. I even got the Valvoline font and put stints built in the Valvoline font. So
that's right. You were working on that a while back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, I'm excited to see it. And
you know what, Steven? With you mentioning that, I might have an idea. It's not anything anyone will recognize. It's more of a personal, sentimental scheme. But I may hit you up. I'm not gonna lie.
Off air, feel free to send me any of your whatever team logo. I mean, I have team logos if you know of where they need to be placed and whatnot to keep it.
Steven, if you just want to do the base design of it, just send me the base design into the editable format, and then I'll just throw all the decals on it.
10-4, sounds good. And what we got here? Oh, sorry, we are also live on TikTok, and I just want to give a quick shout out to RB Racing 64 for sending 10 lightning to our chat. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And if you are interested in the BRB Racing League, feel free to check us out. Every Tuesday on Extreme Sim TV, and soon to be Pit Stop TV every Tuesday night. Very excited about that. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we do run Next Gens each week, and our Discord link is also available in the TikTok Live. Feel free to join it if you're interested in racing, and come check us out. But,
you mentioned the broadcast, Steven. We do have a half and half broadcast.
Yes.
I know Extreme Sim TV did half. Now, is it this weekend that we're switching to Pit Stop TV, or is it next week?
Eldora.
It is, yes. It's after this week. This week is our last week with Extreme Sim TV. And it was the agreement that we came to at the beginning of the year. And some more news will be coming out following Indy this week and heading into Eldora. But yes, Eldora will be the first race with Pit Stop TV. If you have not checked out Pit Stop TV on YouTube, highly, highly, highly recommend them. They are tremendous. They are great at what they do. They're right up there, in me personally, with Freaky Fast. I think Freaky Fast is one of the greatest cream of the crop. Carl, you know a lot about them, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself looking back at our Freaky Fast races and hearing your voice commentate just blows my mind sometimes. It's like, oh my gosh.
It's strange, ain't it?
It's so weird. I'm like, I can't believe this is how we met Carl. But yeah. No,
and now he doesn't want to go back in the booth. He's like, I like being in the car.
Yeah.
See, I do love, if I were to lose like a leg or a foot or a hand or something, then I could definitely go back broadcasting. But it's just, I do love racing, and it's how a lot of people say it's not the destination, it's the journey, and it's just one of those situations where a perfect storm came in, and I couldn't be happier with how everything turned out. I love racing with you guys. I love being a part of this team, and I love this crew. And you are all family to me. I'm gonna do an Adam and be all mushy on you guys, but I couldn't imagine me really racing anywhere else. So this is a perfect storm. I love it.
I will say, Carl, I'm around the same way. I want to get into the broadcasting races because I mean that's kind of how
y'all would both be amazing at it.
Together. And, that's where I was getting at. Is like I did broadcasting. I did like a caster style stream when I was doing Valorant streams on Twitch, and then I got into the Evasion GG for the Escape from Tarkov tournaments where I was able to cast in front of like 18,000 live viewers. But like I was telling you, like I was gonna say, Carl, like I cannot wait when we finally broadcast the Powder Puff race and you and I are broadcasting it.
Well,
dude, we're gonna have a good time.
We've been practicing. You've been doing your Twitch streaming these past couple of weeks, and we just kind of keep bouncing off each other. And I honestly haven't gone back to listen to it, but I can hear it in my mind's ear. If there's a mind's eye, I think there's a mind's ear, and I think we do really well. We blend really well. We really feed off of each other, and it's the Powder Puff when we actually get to that point is going to be amazing. Yes. 100% amazing.
I've got to go back to my broadcast from Tuesday, or my stream from Tuesday, and I've got to get the clip of when we were getting ready to start the race, and you and I were talking about the race back and forth, and we were interviewing Gavin, or was it Wednesday?
I think that was Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday. Like I've got to go back and get the clip of that because it was great. Carl and I were like talking about the race and stuff. We were doing like a sub broadcast the side of Freaky Fast that they didn't know about, and it was funny because like, and then we were like, all right, we got Gavin Rogers here. Gavin, got you on the radio. You hear us? And Gavin's like, yeah.
No, I'm super excited
didn't match the energy, but he was focused on the race
to get a new and improved Powder Puff race scheduled and set up, and something that we can be proud of this time. Not saying that we weren't proud of last time. I think our wives and mothers did wonderful, and we should be able to showcase that, and y'all would be the perfect pair to showcase that, with Rev behind the scenes and me just watching it all happen. I can't wait.
Watching the chaos.
You mean you sitting next to your wife and supporting her every lap of the way?
Of course, because honestly, she's faster than me. She has just as many wins as I do this season. So shoot, maybe I should start letting her race on Tuesdays.
I mean, it's a possibility.
Oh, jeez. But so okay, obviously I said Indy is this week coming up. Who are y'all's picks to win?
Hold on, before we go to that, we need to get an update on the BRB bonus brawl.
Oh,
because
good
call. the final race is going to be wild. Let's pull up the league information.
So I do want to put into there when I was every time I could see those white and red striped spoilers, and I was seeing all those spoilers pass me or in front of me, and all I'm thinking is like, man, my great finish at Texas means nothing if I let 3, 4, 5 cars with those spoilers in front of me, and that was extra motivation for Iowa.
Carl, you know what was going through your head when that was happening?
No,
Monica!
Exactly. Oh man!
Oh man!
You.
But going into Iowa, that was our round 2 of the bonus brawl. Carl Pooler was the original leader at 10 points. Now, just a reminder: not every driver in the bonus brawl gets awarded points. We only award the top 10 of the drivers points. So, if we have 15 drivers, the bottom 5 are not getting any points. So that's just kind of how we worked it out to make it simple and easy and quick. Carl Pooler was leading at 10 points. He was the highest finisher at
Texas.
Was it Texas? Was it Texas?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because I finished second.
That's right. That's right. You know what, Carl? Your win's right around the corner, also, man.
Oh man.
So, but coming out of Iowa, oh my gosh, did the points they're wild right now. Brendan Maddox was able to jump to the lead at 17 points, originally second place, right behind Carl. Jared Hughes and Adam Buzzio, they are both tied at 16 points. Carl Pooler drops to 4th at 15 points.
Oof.
Johnny Wood Jr. at 14 and Dustin Stallings at 12. Steven, you have 5. Matthew Porter has 4. Matt Erickson has 4. I have 3. Richard Smith has 2. And Evan Patinko has 2. William Maddox, Patrick Hernandez, Rusty Sanchez, and Chad Bean all at 0. So, literally math.
Oof, oof.
That's all this is. The only people that can win this is Dustin Stallings, Johnny Wood, Carl Pooler, Adam Buzzio, Jared Hughes, and Brendan Maddox. So,
I think
those are
math
1,
is
2, 3,
overrated.
4, 5, 6. Those 6 drivers come Chicago will be racing for around $160 in winnings for the bonus brawl. And I've got to say, man, I cannot believe that went as high as it did. Because originally, like, I think it was only going to be like $50 or $60, I think. And then just people were like, yeah, we'll donate some also. So just impressive that the first rendition of the bonus brawl that we're doing is around $160 or more to win. And we have 6 drivers that are within 5 points that can win this. So it is going to be wild come Chicago.
Well, I think when Richard, this is kind of your brainchild. When you envision this and you brought it up, I think everyone's like, oh, we'll get 7, 8 drivers. It'll be something kind of fun. And we have what? 85-90% of the league wanted to buy in and wanted to have a shot at this. So the overwhelming success just in general is just phenomenal, and I really hope to see how it evolves and expands and adapts into the next season. This is super fun to see all these drivers race, because Richard, I was telling you before the race, like, the championship is, if I'm a realist, I'm kind of thinking the championship's not is out of my reach, but the brawl is not. So that was my focus going into Iowa. So my 8th place finish, I was more disappointed about my brawl standings than my championship standings.
Yeah, and like I said, I've already got some more brainstorming about how the bonus brawl can evolve into future seasons, and it's going to be, I'm not going to say that the winnings will be more, but the inclusion will be a lot better. So I'm hoping that we can get things worked out. I can get things worked out to where the bonus brawl can evolve into something that involves everybody for basically nothing, and everybody has a chance at winning something versus one big pot. So we'll see how it evolves. I'm glad that it was a massive turnout this season. I appreciate every single one of the drivers that wanted to take a part of it. You guys is what made it look as good as it has, and just everybody else wanting to help chip in and make the pot that much bigger. That's a nice payday for anybody for just racing in a sim is $160. So it's taking you 3 races to get there, but you 6 drivers have that chance come Chicagoland in a couple weeks, and I can't wait to see who takes that home.
Thank you for bringing that up and covering that for us, Richard. Where was I going? Oh, yes. Sorry.
Winners at Indianapolis.
Winner for Indy.
Winders.
Winders
at Windy.
Winders and Windies at Indy.
I'm going to jump and say Adam. He wants it. He wants it so bad. I can guarantee he's putting laps down right now. he is going to be there, and he's really quick at those flat tracks. We were at New Hampshire, and we know what happened in New Hampshire. He had the speed until an unfortunate incident, and I feel that Adam really has those flat tracks figured out. So I'm gonna jump the gun and say Adam.
Yeah. He has a chance to win any race, honestly. So never a bad choice. I do like what Rev says with Johnny Wood. Just pondering real quickly.
And Johnny Wood's another one
I
of
was about
those
to say, someone's
drivers.
got to talk.
I know. Sorry.
He's super quick, and I'm actually guess what? I have the stats pulled up. Huzzah! He is one of 3 drivers or full-time drivers with 100% in the top 10. He has the highest next to, well, again, he's 3rd in top 5 finishes. He has a pole position. His average finishing position is 3.4. So Johnny, again, is up there on a regular basis. He has the speed. He has the patience. And honestly, Johnny is another one of those drivers where I really enjoy racing against him. He races you hard, but he races you clean. And I definitely see Johnny as a viable contender for the win next Tuesday.
Yeah, and you've convinced me. I'm going to go ahead and pick Johnny Wood. Thank you. Great job. You are on Team Johnny, Carl. Thank you for marketing him well. Yeah, I'm going to go with Johnny. He is super consistent. He's super fast everywhere we go. I think he's also a smart and methodically smart driver. If he picks the right times to battle for a position or to try to take a position, he's not going to put himself in harm's way to make the pass. And strategy-wise, I feel like he has the mind for strategy, which is going to benefit him. Go ahead, Richard.
Oh, crap. He was fast at New Hampshire. I'm going to have to say Dustin Stallings. If he can keep his head on tight, people are going to get into your doors at Indy. It's going to happen. He can keep his head on tight, and I think if he makes smarter moves and taking it 3 wide in the middle, I think Dustin Stallings has got the speed on the flatter tracks that he's going to be up there, and he's going to be searching for that win this season.
Yeah, there are still a handful of drivers, a good handful, that have not won a race yet, and we are looking for new winners. I would expect at least a couple more new winners before we get to the chase. Once the chase starts, I don't think the chances of a new winner will go up that much, depending on who wins.
We have Talladega in the chase.
We do have Talladega in the chase. However, the chase is more of like a standard NASCAR schedule-esque of Vegas, the Roval, Talladega, Martinsville, Charlotte.
I'm so mad I'm missing Martinsville.
You probably should not be mad because everyone else is going to be mad.
I have to be mad because I need points.
You will need points because you can't win a championship really if you don't race all 5 of them, most likely.
I know.
But it's oh man, that race is going to be a nightmare.
Me personally, I'm excited for Martinsville. I always seem to have success at Martinsville. Usually my enemy is myself at Martinsville. But I'm actually, that one is definitely circled on my calendar. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's a good track. It has good racing, but it also, since the braking zone is so massive and it's such a small track, you can easily run into someone. And I know people will do it to get the benefit. So we'll see. It'll be fun. It will be another last week practice race scenario, I bet you. Maybe some aero tight coming out of 2 and 4 in Martinsville. But,
welcome to the BRB Racing League, the Aero Tight Blaming Seat League of
the Aero Tight League. With that,
the inside joke now throughout the league.
I love it. I love it.
Welcome to Talladega, where everyone gets Aero Tight.
I just love how everyone's leaned into it, and now it's just a thing. That's what I love. So, as angry as both of you drivers were after that incident, I really appreciate. And again, it's exactly passionate. That's better. That's better. But again, that's another one of those reasons where I'm glad this is where I'm racing, because as crazy as that blew up on a practice race, we're all still joking about it, and it's turned into a thing. So it's, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. And with that, I think we've really concluded the Buckhacker Cup Series and BRB Racing League discussion for this past week, and going into next week. Before we get into, we're bringing back the Sundance Pizza Sit Down this evening, but before we get to that, it has been a while. It's been all the way since season 1 since we've even had that, and we haven't had as many special guests as we had on last season. So hopefully we can get around to that these coming weeks and get to know some of you guys better. But before we get to that, I want to cover some brief NASCAR news. The one thing I wanted just to discuss real quick was Corey LaJoie. being notified and being released from Spire at the end of the season. I don't think it came as much of a surprise to a lot of people. However, after the season that Corey had last season, he gained a lot of fans for one, basically finishing. I think he finished every single race last season, and he had shown improvement over time from when he entered the Cup Series and such. And his podcast as well, and just being the kind of guy he was, gained a lot of fans and a lot of support. And to see what has happened to him this season, unfortunately, whether it's a lack of talent or just frustration, bad situations, I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened to him this season. Kind of came as a shock to me. Not saying it's not a bad move by Spire, sorry, but it did just kind of come as a shock out of nowhere. What do y'all think of it?
I don't know. His other two teammates being basically rookies. I think they both are, Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar. I mean, they've had their on-track incidences or whatnot, but like they're performing better in basically their rookie season in the Cup Series. LaJoy, yeah, he's shown improvement. It's been great to see, but like it's not enough, I guess you can say. Now, granted, it is Spire Motorsports. I mean, they're not a top tier team, but they're not a bottom tier team though. So I don't think it's overly a shock. I think I'm actually really curious if Pocono might have had a factor in playing in that.
Yeah.
Because he clearly spun Busch out. It was very, very obvious. And to double down multiple times saying the Busch spun himself out, I'm curious if, like I said, and that could not be a thing, but like if it was, if that's the publicity that Spire just doesn't want to deal with.
Well, and there is a ton of talent coming up through the ranks right now. Right now, NASCAR's been transitioning these past 5 or so years where your home names, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, these drivers are all retiring. The new guard is coming in, and actually there was a question on Facebook the last couple of days is 3 main drivers we've all talked about on this show. Who do you think is going to have the more success? You have Jesse Love, you have Corey Heim, and Carson Kvapil. You have 3 names that are huge, and there's a limited amount of seats for some of these openings. And Corey is not the young gun anymore. He's in his late 20s, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's everyone's trying to
That's sad
get
to say late 20s is not a young gun.
exactly, but
thank you for ruining my NASCAR hopes and dreams.
You're welcome. But that's the thing is these drivers are athletes now. I mean, honestly, I think the last really big guy that I remember watching race was Brendan Gaughan, and he's been gone the past 2 or 3 years. He hasn't raced. I think he's done a couple of select events, but other than that, it's you need to find the young kids. You need to find them to be in shape. They need to have that endurance. I mean, we see how the cars can go and get upwards of 125 degrees in heat. You can't. It's hard to be older and make that commitment. I mean, I go back to Kyle Busch 2 or 3 years ago at the 600, got some damage on his car, and his car actually on the cabin was intaking some of his exhaust where he had a little bit of a puncture in the quarter panel. So he had to actually have medical assistance at the end of the race. Can you imagine being, 35, getting up to 40 and dealing with not only the temperatures that it can be at Charlotte, but also extra chemicals in your system? It's getting tough out there for these older guys, and I think we're seeing that shift where you're not letting these guys get to 35, 40. You now, once you get to 28, 20 to 30 years old, okay, it's time to go on, especially with the marginal success Corey LaJoy has had. I think we're now really starting to see that shift for the NASCAR Cup Series.
And just to fact check you, Corey is 32.
Wow.
Soon
okay.
to be 33 in 2 months' time. But I mean,
there goes my dreams.
I mean, sorry about that. But I mean, at the end of the day, I have a soft spot for him. No, is he the most talented driver? No. is he one of the greatest guys, in my opinion, in the field and in the garage? Just personality standpoint, I was blessed to have the opportunity to even talk with him and meet with him one time. And honestly, he was just one of the most down to earth kind of guys, and I'm always going to be rooting for him kind of thing. So it sucks to see him go, and I unfortunately don't think he's going to land a cup job next season. But I do hope he finds whatever fits him. I know he said on his podcast either today or yesterday, he's basically at peace of wherever kind of has an opportunity for him, he's going to be, whether that's coaching T-ball on Wednesdays or racing cup cars or even Xfinity or trucker on the weekends. Who knows?
I mean, who's to say he doesn't go down to Xfinity and find success there? Let's look at Justin Allgaier. He's getting in his 30s, and he's been kind of there in Xfinity and found success.
I would think he's in his mid to late 30s by this point.
Look at Paul Menard in the Truck Series. I mean,
Who?
dude's old. He's still doing really good in the Truck Series, though. But like you said, Carl, they're looking for the younger guns and everything because athletes, like you said. I mean, look at the ARCA race back in at Salem the other weekend. Dale Shearer, 64 years old, had to be taken away in an ambulance due to heat exhaustion in the middle of the race. Yeah, and a nighttime race at that.
That's brutal.
So, I mean, yeah, it's not a sport for the older folks anymore to be competing in, I should say. But I mean, at the same time, a lot of these younger guns coming in, like these guys are highly competitive. I mean, they've been racing since they were wee lads. Like
they're all Irish.
They're all Irish, yeah. But no, they've been it's just how they've been raised. It's how they've been molded. It's what they've grown up doing versus just kind of like, hey, I got money from a job now that I can get a car and go ride in. It's not like that anymore. So, I mean, it's awesome to see the younger crew coming through now and performing. It's definitely, we are witnessing literally a change of the guard in NASCAR. It's sad to see because a lot of our drivers that we love and adore are leaving. I mean, Carl, you're one of them. At the end of this season, Martin Truex Jr. is gone.
Yep.
I mean, it felt like that ever since Jeff Gordon retired. It felt like it slowly has been transitioning since then. 10 years now. It
definitely has. I mean, Dale Jr. was gone. That was it just.
Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards.
It's been a slow, long watch. It's been heartbreaking, sadly, because these are the guys that when I was a kid growing up watching. I watched these guys on the track and watched them become who they were, and now it's like I'm seeing all these younger guys. I'm like, I don't know who the heck half these guys are, but but you do attach yourself to some people. I mean, Connor Zilic. I cannot wait to see what that.
Oh
kid
man!
can do. Even if it's not NASCAR, I don't even care if it's not NASCAR. I want to see what this kid can accomplish, and if it is NASCAR, if it is the Cup Series, I want to see him challenge Kyle Larson for the greatest driver on four wheels.
Yeah,
because he's already got the accolades to prove it.
And y'all both bring up, Carl, you brought up earlier of some young guns. I think it's a very exciting time in NASCAR, just due to the amount of talent that is out there waiting for a spot or trying to earn their spot. You said Carson Quaffle, Corey Heim, Jesse Love. Sorry, Richard, you just brought him up.
Connor Zilic.
Thank you.
Connor Zilic.
And there's someone else that I can't even think of, but there's at least 4 or 5 high-level potential elite guys that can come in. And I feel like where the Cup Series is at, it has some big names in it. It has the talent. It's not like Martin Truex Jr. is leaving and there's no big names, there's no veterans, there's no great stars that can take it over. I feel like the Cup Series is in a good place, and in another 5 to 10 years, it's going to be in a tremendous place. It's a good time for the Cup Series, talent-wise. A lot of competition.
And I think what's a great thing about that, sorry, Carl, not to cut you off or anything, but I think the greatest thing about this is a lot of your older drivers are struggling with this next-gen car, but you see these younger guys coming in, and they're doing well in this car. So, at times, I know a lot of people sit there and say they don't like the racing that this car has brought, but I don't know. I think the things that a lot of these younger drivers have been able to do in this car has been extremely awesome to watch. Well, and I think it's just the older drivers, like we're expecting to see them do good, but they're so used to a different style of car that used to be a lot looser with very, not as much grip as these cars have. So it's a huge learning curve for them. Whereas you have new guys coming in, it's like, all right, cool, brand new car, let's do. Like, I've never raced any other Cup car. Like,
well, and that actually kind of builds on, or I'm going to build on that point, and I'm going to accentuate on Connor Zilisch because we've seen the success he had earlier on in the season in Miatas and LMPs. You're seeing a lot of these drivers come in with a much wider variety of experience. Kyle Larson trying to run the Indy. He runs sprint cars. He runs midgets. If it has 4 wheels and an engine, Kyle Larson's going to run it. Connor Zilisch, I think, could possibly be that generational talent as well. And I think we're starting to see more of that varied experience come into the sport. And we see that with the next gen, the independent rear suspension, a sequential shifter or transmission, all this other stuff going on. It's kind of tailoring into these diversified drivers and how they get experience, and they get into these cars. It's like, you know what? This feels familiar. I drove a Miata. I drove an LMP. I drove a GTP. Granted, those cars are on another spectrum, but they're still varied enough. They have enough similar components where these new and young drivers are getting that experience one way or the other. And I think just overall in the world of motorsports, we have an exciting at least 5 years ahead of us.
Most definitely. Sorry, this chat is falling apart quickly.
You can blame Rev for that. That's Rev's out-of-pocket comments that he's doing.
That was not Rev's fault.
Really? Rev and all his random facts that he's been...
He did not bring up that fact.
That is our driver of the 33, William Maddox, I believe. So, love to see William involved in the chat, and that's going to be fantastic. It's funny. Rev mentioned that the other day. I think we were talking, and he does say that, and then in kind of a subtitle voice it says "fly," and it's like, oh wait, what was that? It makes you just totally think. But yeah, man, this chat is going nuts.
33 mentioned.
Yeah, definitely a shout out to William Maddox.
One way to make sure you get mentioned each week. If you're not the meatball and you're not the winner, yeah.
The DGen of the week, number 33, William Maddox.
But
anyway, I've got something else kind of exciting that I saw just on Twitter today. So, as you guys know, with Trackhouse and Richard Childress Racing, how they have that third car that they run. So like Trackhouse has Project 91 or Garage 91 or whatever it's called, Project 91.
Yep. You got it.
Where they ran SVG last year. Richard Childress Racing, they have the 33 car that they've ran a couple times, where they brought in
Austin Hill.
They brought in Ty Dillon, and they brought in the other supercar driver from Australia that
I don't remember the name.
I don't know his name, but he races SVG, and I think he finished second in the last. Yeah, I know. I don't know the name, but I know who you're talking about.
23XL, 2311, whatever you want to call them. It looks like XL to me. Every time I see it, it's like, it's 23XL. It's 2311.
23XI.
2311 Racing, they have a third car entry also, the number 50, which we've seen at COTA, at Charlotte.
I will say this year it is number 50. Last year it was not number 50. It's number 50 this year for sponsor activation. Yeah.
It's the Mobile One 50th anniversary. So that's what, like, every time that car's been on track, it's been like this matte black with gold trim.
It's a very unique activation strategy for them, but yeah.
It is. But it's been who did I say? Doggone it.
Corey Heim.
No, it wasn't Corey Heim.
Connor Zilisch.
No, it wasn't Connor Zilisch. Anyways, so they have the number 50 car that they run. It was that Japanese guy at COTA.
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi.
And then I don't remember who they had at Charlotte. It might have been Kobayashi again. I don't remember.
I really think it was Corey Heim.
It might have been. But, so they teased their driver for the third and final race this season. Now, they didn't put a name out, but the comments recognized the silhouette of the driver and the forehead and hair side. And let's prepare the jet dryers because it's possible Juan Pablo Montoya might be getting in the 50 car this season.
Oh man, let's make sure that the jet dryers have all the lights on, extra reflective striping.
I'm gonna laugh if they actually put him in the car at Daytona.
Oh man,
I'm just saying that would be a great marketing call to do because
Juan
Pablo Montoya returned to Daytona, guys.
Oh, goodness.
That would be the one race I actually hope for rain because I want to see a repeat. Come on,
Oh.
you just gotta close it out.
No, that's a one-time event, dude. That was wild.
So, with that being said, and I know we're in the middle of this NASCAR break with the Olympics going on. Steven, Richard, we we kind of talked about this earlier, where for the past 2 or 3 Olympics, there has been talk about involving esports, integrating esports into the Olympic event. And right off the top of my head, I think racing, Gran Turismo iRacing, I think would be overall probably one of the easier setups to do. So with that being said, we have the pro teams, especially basketball now, they do a ton of stuff for the Team America, Team USA. Who would you like to see on an American racing team, say, try and compete for an Olympic medal on iRacing, say?
So, first of all, I have to backtrack, and I don't think iRacing would make a good Olympic esport. I would rather just see real racing as an Olympic sport, but I think we're far away from that. So we're picking American drivers. How many drivers are we picking?
Let's say 3.
3 American drivers who will race iRacing. Are they doing oval, or are they doing road courses, and are they doing cup car? Like, where are these variables?
Okay, let's say it's a team event. You have a cup car, GT3, and a Miata on a oval, a short road course, and then a long road course. So let's say Suzuka for a quote-unquote short road course, Le Mans for a long road course, and let's say a 1.5 mile Charlotte for the oval.
All right, and just to make this more fun, let's do a draft style.
Okay.
A snake draft style.
Ooh, okay.
Richard, go ahead and start us off.
Kyle Larson would be my first pick. I mean, the dude is just a phenom on anything in 4 wheels. And, I mean, I've mentioned it before, and I think a lot of people were shocked to hear it. He's won the 24-hour race at Daytona before. With Juan Pablo Montoya also. They were both on the same team.
Yeah, I mean, that should be the first pick. Carl, go ahead.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's very active in the iRacing community, and he actually really enjoys it. He's a huge influence. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr., if you gave him, say, hey, Dale, you want to run for an Olympic gold medal for Team USA, I think he would jump at the opportunity.
Can I make a counter argument to that real fast?
That he's not an active driver?
It's not that he's not an active driver. I don't think that's a big deal at all. Just because you're active and a big component to iRacing, like it's the Olympics. You want your best possible driver, and like you got to realize, like, the sim is not a 1-for-1 for real life driving. Also,
but remember,
we got to look at all the sim racers out there. Also,
okay, we're saying who we want to see represent US.
Who's our dream team?
But we have to put into perspective, they still have to be a very competitive
Carl, I respect that pick.
I do too, trust me. Love to see Dale Jr. back on a track somewhere, like publicity, like public.
Who
would you pick, Corbell? Your turn. So we have Kyle Larson,
my first
Dale Jr.
pick would be Willie B.
Oh man, that is a good
because
one.
of his past with iRacing. Like, he understands how it works. He knows how to turn the computer on and load iRacing. At least I bet half of these guys don't know how to do that by themselves. But I mean, he is a maybe this is too much of a compliment. He's like a mini Kyle Larson. He hasn't proven necessarily that he can get in any car and drive, but he can drive the hell out of that cup car. And I like him for at least an oval shot. Man, second, I really didn't think I know who I want third, but I don't know who I want second. Give me Chase Elliott. For road courses. He hasn't necessarily proven it in the next gen, at least, but with your format, he won't necessarily have to. I think he could do well in any road course car.
So with my second pick, I'm going to choose Connor Zilic. Young, and he loves the sim. He trains a lot on the sim. He's actually mentioned how much it's affected and helped his racing. So Connor Zilic would be my second pick.
That's another good one. My second pick, I might have to go with Casey Kerwin. I'm going to take the first sim racer.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, he does phenomenal videos on YouTube telling people how to drive fast on all these tracks for the fixed setups. I mean, he's won quite a few really big races in the NASCAR series, and he's been a champion a couple of times as well, I do believe, or at least once, I know for a fact. But I would have to, I'd take Casey Kerwin to pick our first actual sim racer that's not a real driver right now. So I guess what, now I pick my third?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to go with another sim racer. Michael Conti.
Oh,
okay.
Stacked field for the sim side. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, like I said, sim racing, if you're going to do it the esports side, sim racing is not a one-for-one to real-life driving. So, I mean, these sim racers, Casey Kerwin, Michael Conti, probably two of the best that have ever been on a NASCAR. They can compensate for Kyle Larson maybe not being as fast as them on the sim because, I mean, the feel that Kyle Larson has in a real race car is not going to be the same feel that he has on iRacing. So yeah, my team's going to be Kyle Larson, Casey Kerwin, and Michael Conti.
Very interesting. That's a good team. Carl, who you got for your last pick?
That would be me. I'm going to come out of left. I came out of left field with Connor. I'm going to come out of right field, and I'm going to say Roger Carruth. He does a decent mix. We've seen him have success in the truck series. He's a possible rising star. And actually, fun fact, last season, so 2023, during the NIS, I actually raced against, I can't say raced against him. He was in the same lobby as me for Watkins Glen and totally crushed the field by at least 30 seconds, if I remember correctly. And he has a good attitude. I think he'd be a very good fit on any team. So Roger Carruth would be my third pick. So I would have Dale Jr., Connor Zilic, and Roger Carruth.
All right, and with my third pick, I will pick AJ Allmendinger.
What?
What?
Interesting.
That came from the feet, that came from the grandstands behind the outfield.
I mean, he has experience in Champ Car and IndyCar in his past lives. And obviously in NASCAR, he excels on road courses. I think he would be the perfect Mazda driver for this team. And that leaves my team of William Byron, Chase Elliott, and the Dinger. And he had the sponsorship from Andy's Frozen Custard. So absolutely.
Oh, there you go. Got to get those sponsors.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Gavin says Larson, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney. Oh, you know what?
I completely forgot Reddick.
That's a really good team because that is like in the middle of everything. They're not old, but they're not young. They have the experience, but they also do the sim stuff. That would be a very, very stout team.
Can you not be old and be in the Olympics?
Well, I mean, they were talking about the swimmers, how this one swimmer's 29 years old and getting ready to retire. So,
I mean, for a swimmer, that does sound pretty old.
Well,
Did you see the guy from Turkey that won the shooting? Like, the dude looks like he just showed up like one day. He's like, yeah, I'm representing Turkey, I guess.
All he was missing was the New Balances, all right?
Literally, dude. Then he was just standing all like nonchalant, also like his hands in his pocket, and he's just like
52 years old. But you got to remember, so you have to have the reflexes, you have to have the endurance as well. So you're going to have all these, because shooting, okay, you can sit there as long as you can hold it steady, line up your sights. Granted, it takes practice, but overall, that's one of those elder statesman sports. If I go to Winter Olympics, look at curling. I think the average
The greatest
age.
Olympic sport of all time.
Exactly.
Talk bad
I
about
love
curling.
curling. And I think last Olympics, the average age of the male team was like 33, 34. So it's another one of those things where it could be age dependent. And I love how it is going crazy on chat. Rev says Larson, Carruth, and AJ McCarron. I totally forgot about AJ McCarron. That is a really, really good pick from Rev there. I like that.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes with the Olympics esports. That's really awesome to see. I haven't been like loudly expressing it for years, but I've been like a lot of my close friends and whatnot. I've always said that it'd be really cool to see, you know, a lot of these esports, these big name esports like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, like even RTS games like StarCraft, you know, things like that. It'd be
Classic.
awesome to see something like that on a world stage. Like, I mean, they have all of their own world championships, but like for League of Legends, the LCS, like all those players are not from the United States. Whereas like in the Olympics, you have to represent the country you're from. So it will make...
not necessarily. I mean, there
are some
are
loopholes.
nationals. There are some, like I'm gonna straight up say there's a sprinter from the Bahamas. He's from Nassau. His name is Ian Kerr, but he ran and won some NCAA championships for sprinting in track and field here in Alamosa, Colorado, for Adams State University. So there is a ton of loopholes and stuff. So and it also depends on the country too, because some countries say if you can legitimately trace your descendancy to that country, you can represent that country. So it's a per country basis, but I'm here either way for it. I love it.
Yeah.
But with that, y'all want to head into the Sundance Pizza sit down?
Who do we
What
got?
are we doing tonight?
Well, I had a fun game to help decide that. I was going to let y'all do the best 2 out of 3 rock, paper, scissors.
Ooh, okay.
And when I say y'all, I mean Richard and Carl. There we go. All right, we're going to count it out. We're going to go on shoot. Y'all know how this works.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
No, rock, paper, scissors, shoot, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Carl fails. I'm already up one.
All right.
oh,
Rock,
I've locked.
Oh, all right.
Oh no.
There, no,
It's
lock
frozen.
in. Lock in. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh my gosh.
I'm frozen. I'm
All
seriously
right,
frozen
y'all are both
right now.
alive.
I'm not seeing anything.
Y'all are both awake.
Okay.
All right. Rewind. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. A little bit quicker now. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. 1-0 Richard. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right. Richard is our Sundance Pizza sit-down guest tonight, and next week, Carl, you will be our Sundance Pizza sit-down guest.
I love it.
I felt like that was the only fair way we could do it tonight.
I love
I
it.
beat you with back-to-back paper, Carl.
Oh, that's okay. My whole Discord is frozen right now, so I don't know what's going on.
It's just his stream. It's just his Discord stream.
That's
Oh,
fair.
is-
Hey,
oh.
sometimes
Yeah.
the pen is mightier than the sword, so my feelings are hurt.
You're right. I'm the one that gets embarrassed tonight, so it'll be next week.
That's
I
not
love
that
it.
embarrassing. Well, Richard,
Debatable.
thank you for joining us on this 9th episode of the Holler Podcast and being our special guest for the Sundance Pizza Sit Down. We have several hard-pressing questions that we have to know. And we're going to start it with the hardest of them all. To get us started, Richard, you've been doing this podcast now for, I don't know, we've been 20, 25 episodes. We've been going for a while. People don't know much about you.
We should be close to a year, right?
Getting pretty close.
We're getting close.
Yeah, I think it's closer towards winter time, but yeah, pretty darn close. So Richard, let everyone know a little bit about your background. Where are you from? What do you do for work, etc. And what do you do for fun?
Oh man.
It's a
Originally
loaded
from
question.
Indiana. Yeah, that's a huge loaded question. Originally from Indiana, actually. Currently living just outside of Savannah, Georgia. But lived there in Indiana for the first 18 years of my life. Right after high school, joined the military.
Thank you for your
Joined the
service.
Navy. Yeah, I was Navy for 8 years as an electronics technician. Worked on communication systems and radar systems on the ships and shore stations that we had. Um, After that, I ended up in Florida for my last command, where I got out of the Navy after 8 years. Ended up getting a job working on medical laboratory equipment as a field service engineer. Did that for about 5 years. Um, After that job, I ended up working at Gulfstream, helping build some of those luxury business class airplanes.
Oh, nice.
That was not as fun as it sounds.
Oh.
My job was literally tying wires together.
At least
And
it
that
wasn't
was
Boeing.
Yeah. Valid.
I mean, you're not wrong. So, after that job, I ended up getting my current job now. I work for Omnicell. I work on pharmaceutical storage units and automation systems.
Interesting.
So,
could you give a little
for
bit
the
more
nurse-
information?
Yeah,
sorry.
it's for no, it's good. It's for nurses to be able to pick medicine out of the really fancy cabinets and drawers that help illuminate the exact location of where the medicine is that they need for the patient that they're trying to get medicine from.
Huh, that's
So
pretty neat.
basically, yeah, they go on the screen, they pick the patient they need medicine for, the scheduled meds, they select what scheduled meds they need, and then literally the drawer will light up. You pull the drawer out, and then the bin that medicine is in will light up. You grab what you need, close it, and then the next medicine will light up wherever it is, whether it's behind a door or then a shelf. So they're pretty cool machines. But yeah, I work on those right now. What I do for fun? Talk with you guys like 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So no, I mean sim racing. I'm glad to get back into it. I had before I joined back iRacing, literally 2 years ago, basically this couple weeks ago. I had a 10-year break. I was in iRacing 12 years ago. Before the Car of Tomorrow was even a thing, I believe. So,
Man.
yeah, I did a lot. I did a bit of iRacing then, but ended up getting into relationships and stuff and kind of died off of it. So I had a 10-year hiatus from iRacing and decided to come back because I found out about leagues. I didn't realize leagues were a thing. I didn't really dive much into it because, I mean, I was the only person that did sim racing when I was doing it. Otherwise, I was playing World of Warcraft or League of Legends or things like that. So nobody I knew was either into racing or into sim racing. And then I joined the great world of streaming on Twitch.tv. And with that, had to join Twitter. I ended up following, some organizations and found out that, X, Twitter, people still refer to it as both ways. Elon's just weird.
That's facts.
Can't argue that.
I mean, oh, man. But, hey, let's do this successful Twitter name that we've had forever and just change it to a letter.
Makes it easier.
Either way, detouring a little bit. But started streaming on Twitch and, being on X and everything, I found out about sim racing because I was getting back into iRacing and found out that there were leagues. And I'm like, oh, that sounds a lot more fun than officials because officials are... We all know. Yeah. So, but no, I mean, I like, iRacing. I still play Escape from Tarkov, other games and stuff throughout the PC. Love going camping with the family, the wife and the kid, with our animals. Going to races obviously is a huge factor, but I also, when I can, I tend to help my dad and a Trans Am driver, a TA2 driver, at races. I've been to the Nashville's Music City Grand Prix, Road Atlanta. I've been on pit road with them and everything like that, so that's been a lot of fun.
How long has he been doing that?
My dad actually just started racing. Bruce Raymond has been doing it for 3 years now. Sadly, next year they will not be racing in the SVRA series or Trans Am series because as fun as Trans Am is to watch, it is starting to move towards a NASCAR scheme where it's expensive as crap to run in, and you don't get a lot of return.
It seems like racing anymore, though.
Well, I mean, with Trans Am, your entry fee to race and practice for the weekend is $5,000, and you're lucky if you get $500 to win the race.
Yeah, that makes no sense financially.
Hooray!
Yeah, they expect your sponsors to pay for your entry fee. That's what they expect, and that's just it. Trans Am kind of went from anybody who could afford the race car can come and race these on the weekend kind of thing, to now it's starting to be more of a little bit.
You know, he should look into Miatas.
No, Miata's too slow for him. So they've got a few other series they're looking at that are a lot more affordable, but yeah, they're not going to be racing Trans Am next year.
Call me crazy, but I'd love to race a slow car than no car.
I mean,
look at me showing up every Tuesday.
Way to burn yourself.
That's a skill issue.
See, exactly.
So,
well,
yeah.
Richard, who is your favorite NASCAR driver?
All time or active?
I would actually like to know both.
Okay. I've got 2 for all time.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna have 3. They're all tied. It was Dale Sr. before 2001. I grew up in a Dale Sr. household. I loved watching him race.
Got the Dale Sr. jacket behind you.
Yeah, I do. And the funny fact is, another driver is Dale Jr. I've got a Dale Jr. jacket exactly like this, just Dale Jr. So I loved watching. I liked watching him evolve as a driver, because I feel like when he came into the Cup Series and for a long while of him driving a DEI, he was definitely racing with that Earnhardt name on his shoulder, and he just kind of felt like he deserved to be there because of the name. But then seeing him go to Hendrick and seeing him evolve to actually looking like he cared, and like racing for him versus the name, it was awesome to see. So Dale Jr. is another one, and then the third one that ties along that line was Bill Elliott.
Oh.
So Bill Elliott was one of my other favorite drivers to watch, because he was just a character.
He was awesome.
Listen to after the races, like during the
Awesome
interviews.
Bill from Dawsonville.
Yeah. So those are my 3 drivers. I had 3.
Okay, and you have a current one as well?
I do. My current one has got to be William Byron. Even before he was doing phenomenal in the Cup Series, I always rooted for him. Just kind of actively watching him move from eNASCAR and up through the series of NASCAR itself, through the trucks, through the Xfinity, and then up to the Cup Series. I always rooted for him. I thought he was one of the best picks from eNASCAR to move up, and he's done phenomenal. And it's good to finally see him over the past couple years finally show what he can do in the Cup Series. And this year has been a blowout year for him, and it's been awesome to see. So I'm hoping he can keep this momentum up going into the playoffs, because I think that's one thing that's plagued him. Like, he always starts off strong in the beginning parts of the season, then he just falls off. So it doesn't look like that yet, knock on wood, but we'll see. He's still running really strong. But yeah, William Byron has been my favorite driver since watching him in NASCAR.
I did not know that. I feel like I know a majority of the people in our league's favorite driver, whether or not they talk about it a lot, or they back them a lot, or they say you're wrong for not liking him, or whatever they say. I definitely did not know that William Byron was your favorite driver.
Yeah, because I always pick Kyle Busch to win a race.
I mean, that's part of it. I knew you have a soft spot for Kyle.
It's been
a lot of us do, though, at this
Kyle
point.
Busch he's not my favorite driver. I do really like Kyle Busch now, because I've seen him change.
Because he drives a Chevy.
He really, that helps. But he was really annoying, just the way he was just always like boo-hooing at the fans and stuff. And it's just like, he had this really bad attitude, and I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, and he drove a non-American vehicle.
But hold on, there was a moment where I didn't hate him anymore. Is in 2012, I got invited by my base in Jacksonville to go, because Daytona International Speedway asked our base to provide them 43 top-notch sailors or Marines from the base. And I got selected as one of those 43 to get invited down to the Daytona 500 to be introduced alongside the drivers during driver introductions. And dude, that was, it rained the entire time, so we didn't get the full experience. I was a little bummed about that, but I was one driver away from being with Dale Jr., and I got Kyle Busch.
Were they just like randomly like placing y'all like
basically
in line,
yeah, they just kind of said, there's the trucks, go get in the trucks. So you get in the bed of the truck, and then the way they pulled the trucks out, you just kind of like counted to see who you got. But I ended up getting Kyle Busch, which I was like, daggone it, really? The one driver at the time I really did not like. So I'm sitting there, we're sitting there waving at the fans and everything, and when you're in full military uniform and you're hearing the fans all go boo, boo, boo. It makes for a very uncomfortable car ride. So we get about halfway through the tri-oval, and I kind of look over at Kyle Busch, and I'm like, you get that a lot, don't you? And he just kind of shrugs. He looks at me, he goes, dude, there's 42 other drivers out there. I cannot make all those fans happy. And I was like, that's a very good point. And I got out of the truck, and his wife has got to be the nicest person on the planet. She was extremely sweet the entire time, like walking up with him and his wife or whatnot, because we had to, carry the American flag all military style and stuff. And I got to stand by the car for the national anthem, holding the flag. So it was a lot of fun. It was a cool experience, and that's kind of where I kind of shifted my Kyle Busch hate. I didn't like. He still wasn't my favorite driver, but I was like, all right, I can understand where he's coming from now.
And what year was this?
2012.
Well,
And that was the same year where he won the Bud Shootout, and he almost wrecked 3 times in that race. He was on the apron sideways and still came back through the field to win the race.
At least you got a polarizing person that is popular for good or bad reasons, as opposed to I don't even know who was a back marker then. Like, I can't even think.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Oh man, back in 2012, can't say Casey
Was Dale Jarrett
Kane.
still driving? Was he in the
No,
40,
not
44?
2012. I don't think so.
I know Truex probably wasn't very good at that time.
No, he probably wasn't. I mean, just like something like that. But it still would have been cool with Truex at the time. And
well, at the time, now it would have been cool.
Yeah, looking back on it. But, you did touch on when you got into iRacing. I am curious though. Do you remember what your starting rig, like your starting wheel, your starting pedals? Like, do you remember any of that stuff? And like, can you give us some insight to what?
Oh, geez. It was a Logitech G20. No, what was it?
Was it one of the ones with the red buttons, like the silver rim? I know what you're talking about. Is that the
and it came with the
G27?
shifter on it? Yeah, it was the Logitech G27 because it came with the shifter on it. Because the G29, you had to buy the shifter separate. But it had like the silver faceplate on it and the red buttons and stuff. Yeah, that was my first wheel that I got. I did not have a rig. I just connected it to the desk and went at it, man. And there was no dirt racing then. It was strictly oval and road course.
Really? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So, dirt racing is actually another reason that brought me back to iRacing, and it's only been in iRacing, I think, for 5-6 years.
I had no clue. I had assumed it had been in for a long time.
No, dirt racing is actually a fairly new thing in iRacing.
Very interesting. So, when you were first starting iRacing back then, you mentioned there's just NASCAR, so it was like Gen 4. 12. I mean,
you mentioned the car of tomorrow.
Yeah,
that
around then.
around that time.
It was around then. I can't remember. It was around then. It wasn't necessarily.
It was the first iteration of Car Tomorrow.
It had to have been. It wasn't the weird wing car.
Well, that was the first iteration, so it was not the wing. Okay, it was probably the second version. This is probably like 2011, 2012ish.
I would open iRacing, but it's probably going to crash my computer.
Yeah, So, and then what were the road course options? Was it like?
I don't know. I didn't touch road course.
Fair enough. I don't blame you.
Strictly was oval.
I do not blame you.
So.
But okay, good to know. I mean, hey, we all had to start from humble beginnings.
I will say though, back then, I did win the iRacing special event of the Talladega 499.
What was that? Is it a cup race? I'm not familiar. Okay.
Yeah, it was a cup race. It's
the
just
Aaron's
the Talladega
499 kind of thing.
Yeah, basically the Aaron's 499, but it's just the Talladega 499 because But it was one of the special events, kind of like what we do for the 24-hour races.
Gotcha.
It was one of those, but it was the Talladega 499, and I ended up winning it. So it was cool because they email you like a certificate and everything for being a winner. I was like, oh, this is freaking cool. Like, I printed it off, but then I lost it at some point in time. So
I'm sure you could reprint it if you want it. I'm sure it's saved in your profile somewhere.
I don't have that email. I don't have that email address.
It's got to be on your profile, like within your history.
I would have to look. I don't know.
So, you've been iRacing for a while, and especially a lot lately. What is, I guess, your favorite track to race and your least favorite track to race? I'd prefer you start with your least favorite.
Yeah, that's a very good. Nürburgring.
Any road course.
Interesting.
Nürburgring, that track. It's one of those tracks that is like damn near impossible to memorize because it is so damn big. And I haven't even touched it on iRacing because I don't want to. I've touched it on Gran Turismo, and that still wasn't that fun. Like, it is fun for the technical aspect and how difficult it is. But if you just want to enjoy racing, it is not one to just enjoy racing with. So that's got to be my least favorite track just because of how long and technical it is and super hard to actually memorize the track.
That's very
favorite
fair.
track? My favorite track so far has got to be Watkins Glen, but the full course.
Okay.
Granted, I've only really raced. Well, I've raced actually in a few cars, but Carl and I did the 6-hour Glen race in the GTP, and that was a blast. That was a really blast of a race. The track was great. The car was fantastic. Carl ruined us winning overall.
It's never
Good
Carl.
story.
It's all good. We still won in class, so that's all I care about.
I find it funny. We have an oval racer, and his worst and best tracks are both road courses.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I was definitely not expecting either of those answers.
I mean, I don't know. Like, oval races are oval races. I mean, they're fun, but it's...
I was expecting Daytona, Talladega.
No, trust me, I would choose Daytona over Talladega, though. But Daytona's a lot of fun. But no, when it comes to iRacing, like, I've recently got into the road course racing a lot more late last year into this year. And, like, running the 24-hour race at Daytona with Carl, Gavin, Adam, and myself, and then doing the 24 hours of Spa with the same guys. Me and Carl doing the 6 hours at the Glen. Carl and I also have 3 more races coming up the rest of the year. We have the 6 hours at Indy. We have the 10 hours of the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. And then we have the 8 hours at Fuji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So road racing has really become, like, especially with the whole being involved with the TA series, the Trans Am series with that driver, it's been a lot of fun to get into the road course racing a lot more. And I've actually been racing the Michelin Pilot Challenge as well. And that's been fun. The Miatas are a lot of fun. Like, once you get into road course racing, it's hard to actually separate yourself from it. Because once you start remembering the tracks, it makes it a lot more fun because you're not like, okay, I've got to worry about how I'm going to get fast on turn 1 and 2. Okay, now I got fast on turn 1 and 2. Now I got to figure out 3 and 4. And now you figured out an oval track. It's, all right, how do I got to be fast in turn 1 and 2 to be fast in 3 and 4 to get the run into 5 and 6? Like, it is a whole momentum thing when it comes to road course racing, and it has been a new love of mine, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it a lot more than oval racing actually of late. So
that's really surprising to hear. But so your number is 56. For as long as I've known you, your number is 56. Is there a reason behind 56?
I didn't choose 56 to start. My very first paint scheme that I had in iRacing, I actually got Harpoon Designs to design it for me, and it was a sharp-looking car. It was really sharp. I've actually thought about reaching out to him to make it an updated version for me. But when I was signing up for another league that Carl and I run in, that's how actually I met Carl, was in this other league that we race on Wednesdays. They used to race on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
But so I signed up, and I was like, all right, well, I'll do the 26. So he makes the 26 for me. I'm like, sweet. I go to apply, I pay everything, and I say I want the 26. Then they're like, all right, cool, you're all set. About 3 or 4 days later, they're like, hey, someone's already got the 26 and they've already paid. So, like, you got to pick another number. I'm like, well, shit, okay. And again, I didn't have a reason for 26. It was just a number that popped up that I thought looked good together.
Fair.
So then I was like, all right, fine. Well, let's do, what number did I pick next? I wanted to say it was like 52, maybe 36. I don't even remember. 28, something like that. I don't remember that next number, but whatever it was. They were like, oh, 38. That's what it was. It was 38 that I picked because Norris had 38. He's like, nope, I've got that number. I'm like, son of a gun, man. Like, what the heck? So then I was just like, whatever, just do 56. And I don't know. It just sounded
Stumbled
good.
upon it.
It did. It just sounded good. It just kind of fell out of my mouth onto the fucking email. And I was just like, 56, why not? I don't care. And when it came back, I was like, okay, that looks good. I like how that 56 looks. and it just kind of stuck. So now I'm just like, I'm 56, and I love it. I fell in love with the number 56 just because it was, I don't know, it just fell into my lap, and I was just like, whatever, do that number, and it looked good. So I was like, I'm not changing it. So
Easy enough. I am shocked. I'm learning a lot here. I feel like the answers I was totally expecting. I definitely expected there a reason for that, because when I see the 56 number in any capacity, I'm looking at a spreadsheet at work. I see 56, and I'm like, oh, Richard. like in my head, 56 is you.
why did you think I chose 56? Did you have a?
No, I didn't have necessarily a reason
okay.
why I thought. I just thought there would be more of a reason as opposed to just randomly stumbling
It just
upon
fell
it.
into my lap.
Yeah, like, but hey, I guess that at the end of the day, that is a reason. But so now my favorite question, the last question. You probably remember it. It's been a while, but you are on a long road trip and you stop at a gas station. What drink and what snack are you grabbing?
Oh man, the drink is a hard one because it really depends on the time of day and how long I've been on the road. If it's just a quick stop at a gas station, I'd probably just grab a Coca-Cola.
Just a basic traditional.
Yep, pretty much. If I'm on a long and I need it, why did you both look the same way down at the floor at the exact same time?
I'm not looking at the floor. I'm looking at the corn getting a shower.
Oh, okay.
It is
You
storming.
both of you just went to like the bottom corner of your screen at the same time. I was like, what the heck just happened?
I just realized I'm missing pieces from my rig, so now I'm like, where did they go?
Oh, no. But yeah, for a very long road trip, when I need energy and a lot more caffeine, I'm probably going to be grabbing those Black Rifle coffee cans, the espresso with cream, or even the 300 shot. So,
have you had the Coca-Cola with coffee?
I do not like it.
Oh, unfortunate. I
It
thought they were
tastes
interesting.
weird.
It is weird for sure. It's unique. Sorry.
So, but yeah, no, the Black Rifle coffee cans are really good. They have enough to keep me going, and they taste good. It gives me a coffee that's quick and easy to grab and go.
Fair enough. And then your snack.
Snacks.
I know.
That's the best part. It could be a candy. It could be something savory. It could be.
I know.
It could be a hot dog. Roll your hot dog from the gas station.
I mean, those roller hot dogs are pretty.
Some of them. They still do
They're
those
pretty good.
tornado things.
I'd have to say probably the white cheddar smart popcorn.
What?
Yeah.
Those are really good, though. I totally
really
understand
good.
that.
I can tell y'all have been married for a while.
Or if it's not those, the ranch corn nuts.
Oh no,
I've never had corn nuts.
Oh, you're not missing anything.
No.
I think you are. I think the ranch.
I've got to
I
give
like
them a
my
try.
cheese in my mouth, not as I'm falling
They are
out
crunchy.
on my
I'll
lap.
tell you that. They are crunchy as crap, but I think they taste wonderful.
I mean, they can't be worse than white cheddar popcorn. I think that might be the worst snack selection on this show that I have heard.
Oh man.
Dude, we get those things at home and snack on them.
I will say, Richard went from one end of the spectrum to a really good snack to the other end to a really bad snack for me. So I don't know where to go from here.
I could get the Nerds gummy clusters. Those are
great.
Delicious.
Yes, those are great. Those are great. Well, Richard, thank you so much for being our guest on the Sundance Pizza Sit Down this week. It was great getting to know you. We appreciate you being on the show. I'm not going to kick you off. And Carl and I are going to finish. No.
Okay.
No, I do. Thank you for reminding me of this. It's something that I've been slacking on this year to redo. And it was good to get to know you and have everyone get to know you a little bit. And Carl, you are our guest next week that we have planned. And then from there out, we will see what other drivers that we did not touch on last season that we can get on here and get to know. But
we're going to have to line up a special guest in the next couple weeks also. Get us a new driver we haven't talked to yet.
Exactly. Exactly that. So we'll figure that out.
Get us our Aero Tight driver.
He was on last season.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He was on last season. Now, I would like to speak with his brother. I think we had Brendan on last season. I really do.
I think
it was because he was on.
Hey, that was expensive.
He was our meatball of the week most of the time, and we got him on anyway, and I think that's how that happened. I want to say we had Brendan on here last season.
Oh no, I'd have to go back. and look. It's not ringing a bell off the top of my head. Either way, we'll figure it out. Maybe, yeah, we'll discuss. We'll discuss offline.
Coming weeks, though, we'll have a new driver as a special guest here on the Holler Podcast.
That's definitely. Anything else y'all want to touch on before my power goes out?
I think we got it.
Good deal. Well, thank y'all for joining us this week again for episode 9 of the Holler Podcast. I guess we have one final thing we have to do. Before that, though, I do want to thank our sponsors again. Obviously, Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Sundance Pizza, Idealease, and Ascendance Trucks. You can catch the Rev Sim Shop 250 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway next Tuesday, August 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sim Experience TV. And then we move on to Pit Stop TV the following week. So, yeah, thank you, Carl, and thank you, Richard, for joining this week. It was a little bit of a long show, but it was a good show. And
before we do our sign-off, guys, whoever is in the Discord right now, or if you watch this podcast or listen to this podcast every week and you hear us do this new sign-off that we do, my wife is in the Discord and you can blame her for this.
I'll blame her in person
Damn
in
it,
exactly
this
1
is all
month.
your fault.
That's right, you can blame her in person for this.
Exactly 1 month from now, I'll be blaming her.
I'm waiting for her to
I think she owes me a beer.
No, she owes you a beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, it's my wallet that owes you a beer.
Hey, I don't have a job.
Same. One or the other. You got to sponsor Steven somehow, right?
Yeah, come on now. But, all right, get us started.
Which one?
Richard,
Carl,
I'm pretty sure starts, doesn't it?
No, Carl.
Okay.
Carl
All
starts?
right. Ready?
No.
Buckle it up.
Buckle it up.
Buckle it up.
Or you'll die. Oh, that was
Carl
terrible.
messed it up.
I'll get it eventually, I promise.
Well, you're the Bob's Burgers fan over here.
It throws me off because they do the buckle it up twice and then oil dice. So I'm with 3 of us, it throws my whole mental block through. So that's all. I'll figure it out. I promise.
Oh boy. All right. Until next week. Good luck at Indy, boys, and I'll catch y'all later.